think we can.
Tell me when you're ready, Colleen.
Okay, I'm ready, yeah.
Okay. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Law, the Lake Hopatcong Commission has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof delivered or mailed or electronically mailed to the following: Daily Record, and posted on the Lake Hopatcong Commission website. Would you stand? We have a salute to the flag. You
Yeah,
have a flag, Colleen?
there you go.
There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America,
And to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under
God, indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to have a moment of silence for, not only for our troops as we usually do, but for our employee Kurt Mulch, who we lost in that horrible accident with the harvester. Would you join me in a moment of silence, please? Thank you very much. Colleen, would you call a roll?
Sure. Commissioner Crowley? I think he's trying to join, so I'll come back to him. Fish? Will Susan? He's muted but on. Will Susan?
Yes, Colleen.
Okay. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ozowski?
Here.
Probs?
Here,
Hofferkamp?
Here.
Did I say that right?
Long O, Hoferkamp.
Hofferkamp.
Big deal.
Steinbaum?
Here.
Stevens?
Here.
Tessier? Zochek?
here.
Senator?
He was here.
Was here. I don't see him on. He might join later. Gilfillan?
Here.
Hirschfeld? Don't see him. Castellan? She's muted. Castellan?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Foley?
Here.
Solaro?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
That's everyone.
Okay. I guess the first item that we're going to deal with would be the approval of the minutes.
Make a motion that they be approved.
Is there a second?
I'll second them.
Are there any comments, questions, additions? Would you call a roll, please, Colleen?
Sure. Zochek?
Yes.
Will Susan?
Yes.
McCarthy?
Yes.
Wazowski?
Yes.
Probs?
yes,
Hoferkamp?
Abstain.
Let me see, who do I have? Solaro?
Yes.
Steinbaum?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Tessier? Not here. Gotcha. Oh, and Smith?
Here. Yes. Okay, I need a motion for the treasurer's report and the bill list. Do you want to give the report? Is he here?
Mark is not here, so I can give that.
Okay, good. Let's have that treasurer's report and the bill list.
So I did get a couple of invoices since I submitted that bill list. So the total bill list is $19,329.32. The additional bills were from Princeton Hydro. We received a general consulting, water quality, and WIP invoices. I can send those out. And also from Ken Nelson, our planner. The total in the account is $186,332.21. Fred Steinbaum called to get that information today, so thank you, Fred. And yeah, that's the treasurer's report and bill list.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Is some of that last going to be paid by the WIP funds?
Fred, we shouldn't have any questions till we have a motion in second. Then we can have questions.
I'll move the bill list.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions on the bill list? Fred?
Yeah, is any of that covered by the WIP?
So $379 of the June bill and $1,986.12 of the May bill will be paid for by the, nope, sorry, $76 for May, sorry. So a small portion will be covered by the WIP. Princeton Hydro is holding the HAB grant invoices until we receive our advance payment. So that amount is not being paid for yet.
You're Fred.
So any more questions? Would you call a roll, please, Colleen?
Sure. Zochek,
Yes.
Will Susan? Will Susan?
He's still muted.
Yes, Colleen, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. McCarthy?
Yes.
Kozowski?
Yes.
Provs?
Yes.
Hoferkamp?
Yes.
Steinbaum?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
And Smith?
Colleen, this is Mark Crowley. I'm here too.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'll figure that out later. All right.
Okay, that passes.
Yes.
Correspondence, we have something from land use.
So all of the land use applications are being posted to the OneDrive account. I have those all updated now. Not recently, but since our last meeting, we received quite a few aquatic weed growth complaints from residents around the lake. Those have slowed down quite a bit now. I haven't received any complaints recently. That's not to say there's not weed issues, just haven't received the complaints. So there's a group called Higlin, which is from Green Pond. They sent over an agreement. It requires action by the commission to approve. And what they'd like to do is have their dash boats demonstrate. So dash is diver assisted. Suction. Harvesting, that's it. Diver assisted suction harvesting. So they want to demonstrate those boats on Lake Hopatcong. And they also have sonar that they'd like to demonstrate if it can identify Eurasian water milfoil and water chestnut in Lake Hopatcong. So no cost to us. They just want to demonstrate the technology at Lake Hopatcong. So we'll discuss that later. We received the Lake Hopatcong current conditions assessment from Weldon Quarry's attorneys. The commission, when we were beginning the weed harvesting program, we requested a reduction in the fee schedule from the Sussex County MUA. And they responded that they would not be able to issue, that reduction. We received that response. And the last thing is from Sussex County freeholders. We received Brad Hoferkamp's appointment.
Great, thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments about the correspondence?
Yes, welcome, Brad.
Thank you. Glad to be here, folks.
That all Americans should be wearing masks. Obviously, the science has evolved and changed.
So somebody is unmuted. Hearing your
Sounds like Fox News.
TV or something in the background, yeah.
Okay, so
I do.
we passed correspondence, or anybody want to make any comments? Okay, next is the chairman's report.
Ron?
First, I'd like to welcome, yes.
Sorry. So I'm just thinking about Marty's schedule. It's 7:17 now if he wants to give his update, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
That's up to you. I don't know how you want to do that.
Yeah, do that. Go ahead. We're going to accommodate Marty. Is he there?
He's
You're
here.
muted, Marty.
Give me a second just to turn off the background volume. And thank you for that. And I will really try to participate here as much as possible tonight. Sorry about it. We got the historic preservation hearings tonight also. Very quick one. First off, I need to start off by saying, the condolences of the entire Lake Hopatcong Foundation staff and membership to the family of Kurt Mulch for the tragic accident we suffered since we last met. In many ways, that just shows, I think, the need more than ever for the advocacy efforts for us to try to make sure you folks have the assets you need to really be able to operate to fully manage Lake Hopatcong. And we're dedicated to try to do everything we can to advocate on your behalf for full funding. I just want to mention that we could not be more impressed with the HAB's efforts that we've been witnessing. Colleen and Fred going around the lake. Fred's team, I really need to say, just really outstanding projects are going forward. On any other side, really be thrilled with what we're watching. We just have so many other distractions, it seems, this year, but really great efforts. And, obviously, the weeds are going to be a bigger and bigger problem this year. And it just shows the need for some new thoughts, and hopefully with the creativity of your board, some, new and positive ideas can be put forward to attack this situation. And thank you. As you know, we do have or a lot of you know, our gala is next week. If you're free on Monday and Thursday, to please hook in, or even if you're not free on Monday and Thursday, put a few bids in. It helps the cause of our organization. But thank you for everything. And, we look forward to continuing our relationship. And I can't thank Ron and Colleen enough for their leadership through this tough time. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty, for the kind words, and we appreciate your help and all the things that you and the foundation do to help us. Okay, now we're to the chairman's report, Colleen.
Yes.
Okay, first, Brad, I'd like to welcome you to the commission. It's interesting times. I promise you won't be bored.
No, thank you.
We've, I guess the most important current thing is that we had Colleen and I and Josh, the three of us in this meeting right now. We're part of a conversation at 1 o'clock with DEP, and I'll tell you what they're reporting, that the harvester is up in Franklin in the garage. The barge, if it's not there, will be put up there, and they're going to be there until they finish their investigation to see if they can find whatever happened. They anticipate that to be at least a 6-month process into January before they think they might know anything, if they find anything. Follow up to that is that they have shut down the weed harvesting program for the year. One of the things that we did discuss was that we would get our money, the DEP was going to try, but we should get our $500,000, whether we have an MOU or not. If we got the money, there could be a possibility if we could find some contractor who would be willing to cut the weeds and we would pay him. But that's just, so if anybody knows of anybody, hears of anybody, let us know, and we could investigate that, at least get some relief from the weed harvesting. We cannot use our boats. Those boats are grounded until we find out exactly what happened, if they get that lucky. And that's really about all I got at this time. I mean, we went, several of us, I guess, went at different times, but that memorial, that wake was tough, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. get some more information. That's all I really have.
Ron, I have
Yeah.
a
Sure.
question.
Sure.
Is any commissioner involved in this investigation? Or is it
No,
strict?
no, remember now, the boats are not ours and they were not our employees, so we are completely removed from it.
Okay, I thought it was, they are still ours, but we lease them.
No, we didn't lease them. We turned over the ownership to them. They have it, their insurance, everything is theirs.
That's to be a temporary transfer. The idea behind this agreement, which was started in 2012, was once we were able to get adequate funding or we could find a way to resume harvesting, which is part of our statutory mandate, we were
Yes,
supposed to
if we
do that.
could, yeah, we could get them back if we get them back. But right now, as far as I think Ann's questioning about the accident, we have, right now, they have title to the boats and they employ those employees and pay them. So we're not involved in that piece at this point.
So we're not the owners.
No, we are not. The MOU turned the ownership over to them.
I
The
thought
only
it just
thing,
gave,
no.
I thought
the
it just
only-
gave them leasing.
No. The only thing we do own is the Boston Whaler. That's Captain Fred's boat.
I don't think, again, ownership, because I was involved when this agreement was negotiated. The idea was we had to transfer ownership to the DEP because we couldn't own it, because we would have to pay for insurance and the cost to run
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Many
Yep.
times what it would cost them to own it, but I believe the whaler, all the equipment was transferred over to them. There's an agreement that they're supposed to harvest on Lake Hopatcong only, not take the machines to other lakes. They're supposed to
Correct.
report to us. We're supposed to have an input. We're supposed to have a role. We're supposed to be able to monitor what goes on. We're supposed to be active participants in this, not necessarily sit on the sidelines.
Yeah, but we did get in this last current year, within the last year, the owner, the possession of the Boston Whaler back.
Who's liable if we hire a contractor to do the weeds?
We would be.
Is that,
But that's something we'd have to discuss. We're not going to do this unless we're all in agreement, have a presentation and a meeting and maybe several meetings and see what's involved. But I mean, that's just a thought. I don't know if there's anybody out there that harvests weeds. I don't really know. Maybe Dan and Fred do. They've been around the lake a long time, but was there ever anybody privately, Dan, or Fred, that were cutting those weeds?
Yes, we had, during the days of the Regional Planning Board, we had Larry Kovar, was a private contractor. He utilized equipment owned by the Lake Hopatcong Regional Planning Board to harvest the weeds on the lake. And
what kind of boats? Did he have boats? Did he have harvesters?
regional
I believe
planning-
Larry had a harvester and he also had besides a standard conventional harvester. Now this was years ago. He also could do the deep sediment removal as well of roots. So he had equipment to do various types of harvesting.
But he used equipment, 3 large harvesters owned by the Regional Planning Board.
Yes, back in the day. But he also used to have his own equipment too.
Yes, that's true also. But primarily on our lake, he used our equipment.
Yeah, but we don't have the equipment now at this point there because it's grounded until they finish this thing.
That old stuff sunk.
Yeah.
what about possible treating the weeds?
It's my understanding that we couldn't use state funds to treat the weeds. I mean, that's people in the cove, the private homeowners did through their various groups, but we were told that we couldn't use state money to do the weeds.
It's true.
Arlene, can I ask a question? You remarked about the complaints from residents about the weeds. Besides Crescent Cove and River Styx beneath the bridge, what other places seem to be bad at this time?
Well, I can tell you where we were receiving complaints. I don't know. So I know down at the end of Landing Channel, close to Lakeside Boulevard, end of Henderson Cove, the northern part of Henderson Cove, Ingram Cove, King Cove, Those are the ones off the top of my head that are, we received multiple complaints.
So it's really, it's interesting. I'm on the west shore of the main lake, and I have no weeds this year for the first time in years. And we're trying to figure out why. The only reason we can think of that makes sense is that the turbidity of the lake seems to be darker. It was dark last year, but even darker this year. It's very hard to see the bottom where we always did. I happened to dive today. I had to use a special mask, and I could, even with the mask, I could only see a couple of feet. And I just wonder if the main lake has been experiencing much less weeds, because if it's only problem areas, small problem areas, if we could get hold of a small harvester and someone to operate it, that could really relieve a lot of problems for local residents.
The way they spoke today, Fred, they were not going to put those boats in the water.
Yeah, no, I understand. The only private harvester I know of, and it's quite small, Bella Zigathy, I believe, owns one.
Yeah.
And he used it locally. It might possibly be available for us to hire somebody.
That thing doesn't work well at all, and it's so small.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so much for that.
Yeah, and we have two harvesters called Truxers, but I wouldn't recommend them because they're very small. We use them in extremely shallow waters. We use them in small pond and small cove areas, and it really wouldn't be worth the money you'd spend to get it up there and to harvest. It'd be such a small amount. So I wouldn't even recommend our small harvesters.
Ron, this is Mark Crowley. I believe that the Lake Hopatcong Regional Planning Board has one.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a pretty big one too.
That is a large one.
Well, he borrowed ours, so we could borrow his.
Well, that may be a conversation you want to have with O'Reilly about, seeing if maybe they could even provide an operator. Because if the state's not doing it, that means we can use a volunteer or someone maybe perhaps from Lake Hopatcong that knows how to operate it.
Okay, here's the problem, which I didn't get into. We don't have the last quarter's payment, and they're supposed to give us in advance. They said they were going to look into getting us the money. So right now, we don't have those funds, but they could be, because it sounded like today they were trying to help us get the funds. If we get the funds, we're good to look into things. Maybe we should look into it so that when we get the funds, we won't waste a lot of time. I don't know.
We'll need insurance then also.
Yes,
right?
we would.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you need employees.
Right.
And workers' comp.
If-
Unless, well, yes.
Unless it's a
Otherwise,
lot,
see,
yeah.
that's why it was good with a contractor. You're just paying him a fee and he picks up all that.
Right.
That's why we're better off with a contractor.
Candidly, I don't see any of this happening before the end of the season. I think it's wholly unrealistic. That's just my personal opinion.
It may be, but I think it doesn't cost us anything to look into it, Dan, just in case.
No.
You might get lucky and find somebody. And we might get lucky and get the money quick.
Who does Greenwood Lake?
I don't know.
I think that they transferred the ownership of their harvesting equipment to their municipalities, and the municipalities cover the cost. I think.
Well, and for a number of years, they were actually using, I think, convicts to do the actual harvesting, believe it or not. Now, I don't know if they still do that, but that's what they were doing for a few years.
Huh.
We actually gave them the old small Lake Hopatcong Regional Planning Board harvester. The planning board had a small harvester, which when the commission was created, we declared it surplus and donated it to them.
Yeah.
It might be worth checking into.
Colleen, you want to give them a call tomorrow?
Greenwood?
You want? Yeah.
Yeah, and O'Reilly.
Or if they know anybody that's a contractor, that that could be available if and when we get our funds?
And look up Larry Kovar, see if he's still around. I have no idea, but maybe Fred, do you know?
Yeah, I think Larry's still around and operating.
Okay.
Where are the harvesters now?
They're all up in Frank, I don't know. The one with the accident is up in
Right.
Franklin in the garage, and so is that, and I believe that barge is there. If it's not there, it's going to be there. The rest of them are.
The program. If the
Where are-
program, doesn't our equipment have to come back?
Well, if we don't sign another MOU, yeah, when that one runs out, we could get ownership back.
It automatically transfers to us. That's the idea, was
Yeah.
to keep a tight lid on this equipment and make sure it stays here at Lake Hopatcong. That's
Right.
what the language is in the agreement.
Yeah, we have that in the agreement. That's good. We put that in the last one. So right now, I think nothing's going to happen until they try to figure out what really happened to the harvester.
So the other harvester is just floating in the lake somewhere?
At the state park on the beach.
Yeah, last I saw it was at the state park.
I saw it today.
Aren't there two, what's at Lee's Park? Isn't there a shore conveyor and a harvester there or two?
I think it's just the short conveyor.
Correct.
One
And there's a
small
short
harvester-
conveyor and a barge and a harvester over at the park.
And I think the other small harvester's up in Franklin. That's the one we couldn't get fixed.
Correct.
We'll be working on getting everything back to Franklin in the near future.
Yeah, get it out of it before something happens to it. Get it back.
Right. And the barges and the dump trucks?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And that's about, okay, anybody, how about the individual commissioners? You guys have any questions, reports? What do you contribute?
Yeah, I always do. I just like to comment. Yesterday, Sunday, was a beautiful day, and I took an extensive tour of the lake. And I spoke to some marina operators. The marinas are having a banner season, the best they've had ever.
Perfect.
They've sold all the boats they can get their hands on, new and used. All their slips are rented. The lake is just overflowing with boaters and people having a good time. I toured Byram Cove, and it's just like it was in its heyday. The only change is that the boats are not near the people's property. They've managed to keep an open space there, and so I think there's a lot less conflict. But people were all in bathing suits, swimming. Notably, there were very few boats that I'm sure had heads on them. Again, the question comes up of pollution in the lake. I think we discussed that last time. But the important thing is, and most of these people come from off the lake. And as you know, we're having our usual, even worsening financial problems. And I think it's time for the budget committee to review boat user fees. Again, this needs to be done as a study and collections, where the money's going to go, all these things, all these concerns that were raised before. But I think that in the long run, that may be our most stable way to get finance, to get money each year. So I'm going to reconvene or convene a meeting of the budget committee over the next few weeks so we can revisit this situation. There's just so many boaters out there, and I think that they really would many of them be happy to contribute to keep Lake Hopatcong nice without habs, etc. So I wanted to bring that up.
The only problem is if we can get the fees to go into our fund and not the general fund where they'll take it.
Tom, we understand that. That will be one of our objectives.
We need legislation for that, I'm sure.
Well, to quote our former chairman, the late Art Ondish, this issue has been studied so much. There's been so meetings over it. To quote him, that horse is glue.
That's
we
what
come
I
down
remember.
to the basic issue of the money, just for whatever reason, doesn't seem to stay here at Lake Hopatcong, and it's just another tax to pay in. The money disappears. They collect enough tax from us already. They can contribute back some of the realty transfer tax from these homes and the mansion tax from all the homes that sell in this lake, and not to mention the sales tax they collect.
Dan, you may remember we were offered another avenue to collect and keep these fees by our consultants. Colleen, I forgot the name. Help me out.
The economics, I get it, and the whole thing with special improvement districts and all that. Again, it's just.
He offered us another avenue where they could be collected by the state park and the towns and turned over to us. So I want to take some time to revisit that possibility and see if it might be something that can work.
Make sure you involve the finance committee, both committees involved in that. And because we don't want to have to collect it, Fred.
That's another be a nightmare.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, anyone else? Okay.
We're going to discuss weed harvesting and the accident later on, correct?
We discussed it. That's all there is to know, Dan. There's nothing else that they want to talk about. They're not talking about anything else. That was full disclosure I gave you.
No, I'm not saying that you didn't give us full disclosure. I'm saying that I, as a commissioner in the town where this accident happened, I've been in the dark. I know my mayor's been in the dark, and there are quite a few issues which I think belong in executive session, which I'm going to err on the side of caution and keep quiet now and not air those issues. But at the very minimum, we need active and open communication to find out exactly what happened here, to find out the fix, to have a timeline, to know who the experts are that are reviewing this, to find out exactly what their qualifications are, what are they looking at. There's a lot of stuff, and again, I feel kind of hampered because there's issues which I think belong in executive session for three reasons. As I said, we're talking about this MOU. That's a contract. And under the Open Public Meetings Act, that's something that should be talked about privately. The issue of pending litigation or potential litigation. We're not looking to sue anybody, but we could be the target down the road, and maybe we should have our counsel on board to see what, if anything, we should be doing in anticipation of that. It may be all moot. Nothing may come of it, but it's just, in my judgment, it's best to be prepared. So that's why I think an executive session is necessary, and I would make that motion for those reasons.
We could do that later on in the meeting if you think necessary, but again, we don't own the boats. We don't hire the employees. They're going to tell us they're treating it like we're not involved, and I don't personally think we are. But you're a lawyer, so I'll bow to you. But
at the end of the day, we're active in this weed harvesting operation. We're charged by statute with looking after the welfare of the Lake Hopatcong. Weed harvesting is specifically mentioned in our legislation, and the only reason we're not involved is because of the funding issue and the whole insurance issues and the whole myriad of other issues, which led us to that MOU, which if we didn't do it, there'd be absolutely no weed harvesting on this lake if we did not have that MOU. And that's not the best solution.
I think that we transferred our duties and responsibilities to DEP with that MOU, and that's what I think. But you want to have a conversation, we could do that after we finish the rest of the meeting, sure.
Okay.
Ron, do you know if POSHA is involved in the investigation?
Yes. OSHA's involved. I know OSHA's involved, so POSHA, that's a state, would also be involved. Yes. Any accident that happens in the workplace, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have one quick question for Fred that I've been, giving you guys communication on. Fred, the geese problem on Lake Hopatcong. I live in a corner of King Cove where usually there's 30 to 40 of them. Now there's 80. They're being fed. They're not migrating. How much concern of the goose situation do you come across in your studying of the cleanliness of the water? Because I think it's a silent killer. Is it true that one goose or 4 geese equals 1 septic system dumping into the lake or something along
Yes.
those lines?
Yes, that's what he told us a couple times.
Yeah, they.
Now there's 80 geese, and it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I call geese cows with feathers because, they're not eating seeds, they're not predators, they eat grass. So if you're going to get your energy from grass, you have to constantly eat, which means they're constantly defecating. So they generate a lot of phosphorus, a lot of, bacterial waste that goes directly into the water. So they are a big problem in terms of nutrient loading. Feeding them is the absolutely worst thing you can do, not only for the lake, but for the geese population themselves. So yeah, they're a major source of non-point source pollution, specifically with phosphorus.
They could get permits to control them, but then you're going to run against all the tree huggers that are not going to want to do that.
Yeah.
But isn't it our duty to, could a water sample be taken in the corner of King Cove here? And if you find a toxicity of geese, because I'm sure you're going to find it, they are here every single day, 80 of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could certainly collect samples for various, microbiological parameters such as fecal coliform, fecal strep. We could do E. coli. There's a number of parameters we could do, but it's the high amounts of phosphorus that is concerning as well in terms of generating the HABs. So yeah, I mean that's something that can be done. But if there's a lot of geese there and there's not a lot of circulation, more than likely, like you said, that water is a nuisance because it's high nutrient and probably has a high degree of, bacteria and other microorganisms that can be.
They move out at night and head towards Fred's house. I don't know where they weather overnight, but then they come back in the morning. We got pictures of them. They head down towards Fred's house, towards Brad, and then they're just all over the condos, grass, and all that is going into our lake. They're not migrating. They're here in the winter, laying in the snow.
Yeah, they're actually the ones that hang out year round. They're a subspecies, and they're the problematic geese. So even though geese are considered endangered, it's the subspecies that migrate that are considered endangered. The residential ones are not, and it's a distinct subspecies.
How do you tell the difference? They all look alike.
They actually they do, but the ones that don't migrate, if you just look at them, and believe me, I'm not a birder, but I know they're larger. That's the one thing I know is they're larger than the migratory geese.
But they eat better here.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's something to talk to the DEP about, because if it's causing a problem and we overlook it, it's not good.
True. Yeah.
I mean,
I know in Denver Airport, they euthanized them. They got rid of them. There was hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a federal
They
permit
take down airplanes.
where it's like
You can get a permit.
$20.
You can get a permit.
Yeah, it's probably the easiest federal permit you can get. It's like a 1-sheet permit. It's $20, and it's to addle the eggs. And it doesn't happen overnight, but I have seen in communities where if they do a couple years of egg addling, the geese realize, hey, I'm not making babies here, and they go somewhere else.
We've been doing that in Lake Shawnee for years. Yep.
Shooting them,
Something
but
to look at.
it's a way of getting their population down in a local area.
I appreciate it. I just want to make you aware because I know it's contaminating the lake.
Yep. Yep, they're a big problem.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Know where to harvest them and send them someplace where they eat them?
They actually, years ago, there was a program New York DEC had where they were killing them, and they were actually trying to feed them to people, and people don't like the taste of them. I hear they're not very tasty and they're very greasy, and they couldn't give them away.
Wow.
Any other commissioner? Okay, let's move. Fred, you got your report?
Yep, I have a number of things I wanted to report on. One is, so just to let you know, I did go on Larry Kovar's website, Aquatic Analysts, and it does say that he has 3 state-of-the-art mechanical weed harvesters. So it looks like Larry's company is still harvesting. So you may want to reach out to him. Just to give you a heads up, though, I know this time of year, a lot of times the companies who do harvesting, they have all their jobs lined up for the summer. So it may be difficult to even get him in. I have no idea, but it may be worth just reaching out to him and finding out, you know, what his capacity is right now. So I did want to let you know about that. So just to give you an update on other lake activities. So this Wednesday, we'll be out on the lake doing our cyano toxin and algae nearshore monitoring. So that's happening this Wednesday. Remember, we do it once in July, once in August. As soon as we have those results, we will forward them to the commission. And then the following Wednesday, the 22nd, we do our full water quality monitoring. In addition to that, if you recall, in June, we did our large phoslock treatment, the 50 acres in Landing. And since then, we've done our post monitoring, and the results were promising. We did get a reduction in phosphorus and a decline in algae. So we'll be out there again in July. We'll collect another set of samples and see how that's going. We've been installing those biochar sausages as part of the HABS grants. So we installed a set of them at 4 different locations last week, and we actually collected stormwater samples on Friday. And then this week we'll be installing the rest of the biochar. In addition to that, we have to follow up on the aqua filters at the borough of Hopatcong. So I owe you, the commission, a memo, and I have to regroup with some of our people about how to move forward on cleaning out those basins and filling them with biochar to increase the ability of those large structures to remove phosphorus. We're waiting on the advance payment from the state so we can install the 3 aeration systems, again, as part of the HAB grant, as well as the floating wetland islands. And then probably this week, we're going to be doing a green clean treatment of Ashley Cove to knock down that mad algae so we can start adding phoslock in that cove. I need to confirm that with Scott, who's our director of field operations. And then finally, I do want to mention, I forwarded to Colleen just before the meeting, we provided a memo. Remember, after the harvester flipped over, some of the rescue team, members of the rescue team were feeling ill. So we actually collected some samples, and that memo summarizes our assessment of the water, you know, in that area where some of the rescue team members became ill. So that memo summarizes what we found. So that's what I have right now. If you have any questions on the memo or anything I've mentioned, you know, feel free to ask them.
Fred, what's happening with the HABs?
So, like I said, I've just summarized some of the projects. So we've implemented some of the projects.
I mean, what's happening as far as the levels?
Well, I'll be able to answer that after Wednesday. So I can say when we were out in June, we have seen lower amounts of HABs based on the June data than we have since last year. So overall, HABs are lower this year for most of the lakes we monitor compared to last year. I'll have more information on Lake Hopatcong by the end of this week. But in general, it seems like because we had such a mild winter and because the weed growth was so strong in a lot of the lakes that we monitor, we've had less amounts of HABs than we had last year.
Fred, do you have a concern on the deluge we got the other day, raising the lake up? Would that lead to a possible bloom?
Well, the nice thing about a real heavy rain is at least it helps to flush not only the water, but a lot of the algae out. The worst condition to have is what we had last June, which is we would have like a real intense storm for like, 30, 40 minutes, and then we'd have a couple days of sunny weather. And the problem with that is you're rinsing the watershed, all the nutrients go in, but you don't have a lot of the nutrients and the algae washing out. So that's why we had the problem we did last year. A large storm like that, yes, it's bringing nutrients in, but it's also flushing algae and nutrients out. So, you know, of the two types of storms, I would prefer to have a deluge as opposed to a small intense storm. Now that's barring flooding aside, but relative to the halves, that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Fred, I have one question. You said green clean. Did you say Ashley Cove?
Yes. So, so we are doing a green clean treatment at that beach area, and I have to reach out to that beach club. So that's separate. But when we put that permit in, we included Ashley Cove because of the exact situation that came up, which is there's a lot of mad algae in Ashley Cove now. If we try to do the phoslock, it's not going to do anything because the phoslock is more of a proactive treatment. So we have to knock down that mad algae. So Scott wants to go in there and do a green clean treatment, which is that strong oxidizer. It will kill off that mad algae, and then we can start the phoslock treatment regime.
And you'll just monitor that by phosphorus levels. So you'll be monitoring the.
Yes, we have a whole monitoring program for Ashley Cove that will keep an eye not only on the phosphorus levels, but we're also doing the phytoplankton. We're doing the meters with the phycocyanin and chlorophyll A and all of that.
Will the use of green clean alter those results?
Yes, we hope they do. We're hoping that their numbers go down. Yes.
All right, I was thinking that the idea was to look at phoslock specifically, so that it would that you wouldn't be able to piece apart which product was really.
We'll see. We'll be able to relative to phosphorus. We'll be able to tease apart easily because the green clean does nothing for the phosphorus. Now, what we may see is, and this is why remember we're collecting total phosphorus, total dissolved phosphorus, soluble reactive phosphorus. Because when we have those three forms of phosphorus, then we can figure out what the particulate phosphorus is, what the dissolved phosphorus is. So when you add the green clean and you're killing all those cells, a lot of that phosphorus becomes dissolved. So what you want to do is all that dissolved phosphorus, that's why we add the phoslock to inactivate that phosphorus.
Okay.
So we'll be able to tease apart with the phosphorus in terms of what the green clean's doing relative to what the phoslock's doing, because phoslock will not directly kill algae, the green clean will.
Right.
Shush.
Anyone else for Fred? All right, thank you, Fred. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. And like I said, as soon as we have the results from the end of the week, I'll provide them to Colleen so she can.
And she'll put them out to us. We appreciate that. Thanks.
Yep.
Updates, the state park. Is Melissa here?
Yes, hi, Ron.
Hi. Haven't seen you in a long time.
Yes. We really not much. I mean, the water level is going over. We've been getting a lot of rain, so it's going over the dam. We've been monitoring and adjusting as needed, when needed. And as far as weed harvesting, you guys are all fully aware at this point where we are. So I really don't have much more to add. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer what I can.
And so while I have you on the spot, I guess in response, to Dan's questions, did I leave anything out that I could have shared? I'm sure you're wearing two hats here, you and Josh, so I appreciate that. But did I leave anything out that I could have shared with the rest of the commission?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Melissa, I have a question. You said you were monitoring and adjusting. Have you really been adjusting? I just wonder what adjustments you may be making.
So no, to answer that, we've had so much rain that it's been going over the dam for weeks now, from what I've been observing.
It just started going over the dam again with this last heavy storm. It was down 2.8 inches before that, and you were letting it at about 12.3, and I didn't see any change, so I just wondered what you were adjusting.
Basically, meaning we've been getting quite a bit of rain, so whenever we need to, we adjust the gates to let the water do what it needs to do. And whenever it was lower because we didn't have the rain, we adjust the gates to make sure we have the proper outflow.
No, that I understand, but with the water coming over the dam as it is now, it's about 2 inches over the top. Do you make an adjustment at that time?
No, usually we have one of the gates open until it recedes, and then we make the adjustments.
Yeah.
So right now, when the water level is high, the way you see it, it's just going over the dam. We really don't have anything open except for one of the gates.
Okay.
And then once it recedes and goes below that point, we adjust the other gates. It's nothing different than we've done in the past.
Okay.
Is there any update on when we're going to tie the state park septic into the sewer?
That is through a different office, and I could definitely find out and get back to everybody. I know about a month or so ago, I saw an email about that. There were discussions. So I will definitely follow up for you, and I could get back to everybody tomorrow.
Thank you.
Roxbury's engineering department's waiting for that to happen too.
Yeah, I did recall seeing some communications about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
So I thought that, Josh, were you muted before and you were going to say something about the harvesting?
I'm sorry, I didn't see him.
I was just going to add two things. I know everybody is looking for answers of what happened, but we've been advised that we can't talk about the investigation until they make their conclusion. And as Ron said, it's going to be at the least probably 6 months based on prior incidents. And to answer Dan's question from earlier, yes, it's POSHA that will be doing the investigation, and that's through the Department of Labor. It doesn't fall under DEP, so we don't have a whole lot of say in what happens and how because of that. So.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
I guess we pretty much covered the Weldon Quarry thing. So the other update thing I guess we had on was the MOU. Was that on there, Colleen?
Yeah, so I guess after, yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I guess after today's discussions with DEP,
Put it on the back shelf.
yeah, we're going to kind of just figure out what we need to do in order to receive the funds. We might need just some kind of agreement since it does pass through DEP, but to be determined on that.
Anything about this CAC meeting?
So it's just been one thing after another this summer. So of course this one was canceled due to the accident and other things going on in the States. So we're hoping to resume them next month.
Okay, good. I understand. Any about the rain gardens, the grant updates, Colleen? We pretty much covered a lot of the grants. You got anything else to add about that?
No, Fred covered most of that. The only thing I would say is from the rain garden program, people are now in the design phase with Rutgers. We held 2 workshops. Now people are actually having the designs completed by Rutgers. The last I heard, I think they were around 10 designs, and they still had a few more to do. And then people will start their installations hopefully and be applying for the rebate program. And we have two additional workshops to hold in either the spring or the fall. And we're hoping those could be in person. If not, they'll be online.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Committee updates, land use update, and then the ice retardant, either or. Ice retardant. Go ahead.
So I don't see Bob Tessier on for land use. We were going to schedule a meeting just to, discuss how we were going to move forward with the budgetary constraints, with the planning professionals, and then how to divvy the work between our two professionals. So I have to schedule that meeting hopefully next week.
Okay. Dan, you got it? Dan, Fred, who was on that ice retardant? Nothing new?
Yeah,
Dan?
your microphone.
Forgot to mute, sorry. I think when we last left this, we were going to schedule a committee meeting, to put something together to present to the commission because we had the meeting with the mayors in March. Was the last we left this. So Colleen, can we set up a Zoom meeting perhaps with the committee members
Sure.
for the next commission meeting?
Sure.
Okay. Next thing is new items. Colleen, what have you got?
So as I mentioned during the correspondence, we received that agreement from Higlin. Did everybody have a chance to review that?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, it's no cost to the commission. Basically, they have requested assistance with access to the lake and then finding a location to store their boat overnight because they think it'll be a 2-day demonstration. And they will be looking to use to test their sonar for water chestnut and Eurasian water milfoil, and also do a demonstration of the diver-assisted suction harvesting somewhere in the lake. I was going to recommend the canal since the harvesters can never go up there anyway. It might be a good place to see, how these work and what they can do. So if that's something that the commission is interested in pursuing, it would be a joint agreement between the foundation, the commission, and Higlin.
And couldn't they leave their boat where we were leaving the harvesters overnight? It's only a one-night thing, maybe? At least?
Well, we would have to discuss we'll have to find a location. Yeah, I don't know that, so I don't think the state park and Lee's, I don't know what their I don't know if they have any dock slips available right now. I think most of the marinas are pretty full.
How about the state police barracks? That'd probably be the safest place.
Right. I mean, we can,
Colleen, didn't we have a slip for the Boston Whaler over at Lee's?
we don't have one this year, no. The whalers got in. We're waiting on the title for the Boston Whaler.
Colleen, maybe their boat can be put on the trailer overnight and kept at the state park.
Right.
It's pretty secure there. That's the ramps right there. That might be the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
And we're willing to help out. We're willing to help out where we can.
Okay. Thank you.
Colleen, this is Mark Crowley. I have one comment. On this demonstration, is there going to be some kind of document that says they're not going to hold us liable for their divers or any of the stuff that they're doing it all on their own?
It has to be a hold harmless agreement in that contract. Let
Yes.
Murphy review that.
Okay.
I agree. Thank you.
Can we approve it with the hold harmless? I think they're waiting to hear for our approval.
I don't see, I can't see anything against it as long as we get that hold harmless in there.
Do you want to hear more about the background of this, or you're familiar with it?
No.
Ron?
No, I'm good. Josh, and Melissa, there's no downside from your side of the operation, is there?
Of trying this out? No, I'd be curious to see how it works.
Yeah, let's go with it. Make sure we get that hold harmless clause.
Okay. So.
So Ron, this is Mark Crowley. I'll make a motion that we do it as long as we have a hold harmless clause.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Eric.
Yeah. Any comments, questions? Would you call a roll, please?
Hallie,
Yes.
Will Susan,
Yes.
McCarthy,
Yes.
Wazowski,
Yes.
Probs,
Yes.
Hofferkemp,
Yes.
Steinbaum,
Yes.
Stevens,
Abstain.
Smith.
Yes.
There's another vote for you.
Now the MOU again, that's back, that we're just gonna table that or just let it sit there until we find out
Yeah.
whether we're getting money or, yeah, okay. Do we have any public that want to make comments? Open the meeting to the public? How are you dealing with that?
So if anybody from the public would like to make a comment, you can raise your hand. I don't see anyone.
Okay.
Hey, Colleen, this is Fred. I just wanted to mention just real briefly, I wanted to put this under new, but next month, we'd like to have a organization called Greenvest to give a presentation on funding stormwater projects. So we were going to do it this month, but with everything going on, we asked if it could be pushed back till the August meeting. It'll be like a 10-minute presentation to provide some ideas and some guidance in terms of securing some funding for the implementation of some of the stormwater projects we have in the WIP.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody from the public? I'll close the public session.
I don't see anybody.
Got action item? Have you got any action items?
Well, the only other thing I had was the discussion of how you want to continue these meetings. If you know what.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, let's talk tomorrow, and I'll reach out. Now, I guess we can go at least 90 days, 3 meetings, 3 months. Let me get permission to use that cafeteria for the next 3 months, and then see what happens with what opens up. Is that what you want to do?
Well, I think we also need to understand from the commissioners if they're comfortable meeting in person, because if you're not going to have a
Wear a mask. We're going to wear a mask and be separated. Socially distanced.
I don't have a problem with that.
Meet where?
Lake Hopatcong High School cafeteria. That's my goal.
I mean, Hopatcong High School.
Excuse me?
Hopatcong High School, correct? Where we had
Hopatcong,
those
sir.
meetings.
Hopatcong High School, yeah, where we met the last 2 times, yeah.
Yes.
What's the
Ron,
advantage?
is this going to be open to the public?
Yes, but they have to be socially distant. I'm working for the Sparta Board of Ed. We had a public meeting. We had in the cafeteria in Sparta High School, and we had them spread out, and it worked. We all wear masks. Everybody kept their distance, including the people at the board table, at least 1 seat between each, and it worked. But I don't know.
What they're saying now, Ron, is with the air conditioning, if you don't have the right filters, it's blowing in on you, and you're going to get it just as easy as if you were outside.
I personally am against it. I think that at this time, even in Roxbury and other places, with what's going on with COVID in other states and people coming in, I think we're not going to gain anything more than what we were doing tonight with a Zoom meeting. We've done an executive session. We've had a good Zoom meeting. All we're doing is putting people in jeopardy, not only ourselves, but the public, which we have no control over.
All right.
He's got a point.
We'll continue as is. Okay, great. Thanks for, what else do you have, Colleen?
That was it.
So, Dan, do you still think you want to go in executive session? I mean, I don't know what we're going to get. Nobody can talk about anything. There's nothing that we can uncover. Dan?
I think that the question is this MOU. I don't think it should be backburnered. I do think there should be discussion, and this is something because of the nature of the situation and the threat of pending litigation. I do think we should start a discussion and at least get some framework of agreement terms on the table, and then see where it goes with the long term.
Do you want to is a better way to do this is to form a committee and try to amend the existing MOU that we have and put in whatever clauses you want or take out whatever clauses you want?
Or to address the concerns that I have more broadly, because there's a lot of stuff here I don't feel, because of what happened, belongs in a public meeting. I see two concrete reasons why it should be an executive session. If you want to put a committee together of people who are interested in weed harvesting generally.
Talk about it for 10 minutes right now and then go from there. An executive
All right.
section.
I'll entertain a motion for executive session.
So moved.
The second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, Colleen, can you shut the public down, or how are we going to handle this?
I think I have to start a new meeting and have people log in, is my understanding.
Oh, God.
Well, we
Okay.
had an executive session in a prior meeting where we didn't shut down and start a new meeting.
When was that?
Colleen, if you want to lock out Fred and I think you're okay.
Well, I've got the public on here too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't do that with public.
I
You
can
can't
remove,
lock down the
I
public
can
also?
remove them, but there's nothing stopping because they all have the password to come right back in if they choose.
So you can't put us all in a waiting room, huh?
I don't know how to do that.
And I wish I could help.
You know, is there really a need for this tonight? We don't even have anywhere near a report yet.
No,
for
we
the
don't.
DEP or anybody. So I really don't see a reason.
I
to
think Dan
discuss
is
it
just
now.
trying to address concerns going forward, not trying to figure out next steps necessarily. Is that correct, Dan?
That's correct. And again, it's hard to sit here when you believe, I mean, because of my training and background, it's like I'm caught in a knot because I can't get everything out that I think I need to get out because I think it's something that should be covered in executive session. So how do you explain yourself and defend your position if you can't talk about it? That's the rub.
The other thing, Dan, is that the MOU is going nowhere now.
Yeah.
Or probably in the immediate future.
Well,
So-
again, without tipping my hand, I think we have a moving target. I see a moving target, maybe others don't, and I think we need to keep up with it. And that's, again, without spilling the beans, I can't really say too much more.
Okay.
So I don't know if we have to schedule.
Colleen, could we set up a call, Colleen, to get one, like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like a call? Then it would just be between us?
Yeah, I'll have to, if we don't do it now, I'm going to have to advertise it.
Okay, that's fine. The other thing,
You have to advertise an executive session?
I believe so.
Yes,
because
you do.
people-
Yes,
It has
you
to
do.
be a pub,
yes,
has to
it
be a
has-
public meeting first.
yes, we have to advertise. But Colleen, we want to definitely have Murphy involved. Is Murphy still around on this thing, or is he gone?
No, he's not on.
I certainly wouldn't want to have this without the attorney involved.
I would prefer, honestly, to have the attorney involved. I thought we were going to have an executive session to talk about this topic tonight, and I thought the attorney was going to be involved. And I don't
He
think
only-
it's productive without the attorney, quite frankly.
Apparently, Dan, he was only in the executive session committee meeting. He wasn't in this one.
All right.
Okay, well, I do think it would be less than helpful to have him sit on the sidelines. I do think it's critical that he be a participant.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'll set up a meeting. All
A phone thing, yeah.
right. So maybe for next week would be,
Yeah.
or
I'm
later this week, I guess. It's only Monday.
I'm going to be out of state from the 21st to the 29th. So in Colorado, I don't always have good phone. So you can do without me. I don't want to be the one who holds it off. But I can't rely on my connections because I'm off the grid out there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, Ron, I do think, with all due respect, you are important to what we do here, and I would prefer that.
If we could do it on the 20th or earlier, between now and the 20th, it's not a problem.
All right, I'm going to look at Friday the 17th or Monday the 20th. That way I can.
That's
have enough
perfect for
time to put
me.
it on our website and everything like that. So.
It's perfect for me. Is
Okay.
that good with you, Dan?
That's perfect.
Okay. Make sure Murphy's available. Okay. Anything else? I guess we're ready for a motion to adjourn. Is that correct?
Yes.
So moved.
Motion, Eric.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Aye, we're adjourned.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay healthy.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Have a good
Okay.
night.
Night all.
Thank you.
Good night.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.